Hello and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog fantasy pick and plays for Memorial Day, May 26, 2025. It is Monday. It is a day where we've had baseball going all day. We've had tennis going all day in the French Open. And we've got more entries for those two sports and a couple other ones on the way here today. I'm sorry if I'm a little low energy. I'm a little bit jet lagged. I was on my honeymoon. As you know, if you listened to this podcast before I was on the hiatus last week. But back from the honeymoon, back a little bit jet lagged. Great time though in Maldives. Definitely recommend going if you like snorkeling and eating well and seeing sharks and sea turtles and tons of tropical fish. And if you like being 12 hours off of your normal time zone. So it was fun while I was there. I was there for over a week, as you noted. But then the travel home yesterday, a little bit brutal, going back in time from literally the day I landed was on the calendar the day before I took off because of being 12 hours ahead and crazy travel stuff happening. So I'm back though. I'm ready to give out the winning entries and continue the hot streak we had before I went on my honeymoon. So let's start off also by reminding you, sign up with promo code DailyDog, DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app. Again, that's promo code DailyDog, DAILYDOG. One word on the Underdog Fantasy app or on UnderdogFantasy.com for 50% deposit match bonus worth up to $1,000. Still the best promo code out there. You can go to a bigger show, bigger company, whatever. You're not going to get a better promo code than that one. So use promo code DailyDog. All right, now let's get to what the show is actually about. MLB entry number 1, Ketel, Marte, higher than 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against the Pirates. Marte is just popping. Whatever advanced stats site you like to use to project MLB players, Batter's Box is one I bring up. Ballpark Pal is obviously one that people like. You can look at just raw numbers. You can look at average, everything else. You can look at splits. There's going to be everything you look at. It's going to say Ketel Marte is going to have a good day here against the Pirates. That could be a little bit dangerous when it's so quote unquote chalky. But you know what? I believe in Ketel Marte. He's one of the more underrated players in the MLB. I think he's truly one of the best hitters in all of baseball, and I think that you can't necessarily underrate this guy. So I'm going to take Ketel Marte higher than 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against the Pirates here. Then I'll pair that with Brandon Lowe, a guy that I like a lot this year who's way underrated. Higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs down at Steinbrenner Field there for the Rays. Should be quite a good hitting environment for the man there in Tampa. The Rays are facing the Twins and Chris Paddock. Paddock's had some up and down starts. But I think it's going to be like 90 degrees, good wind situation there. So give me the runs. Give me Brandon Lowe higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs with Ketel Marte higher than 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for a 3.15x multiplier. Next up, we are going to go with MLB entry number 2, Freddie Freeman higher than 1.5 total bases. Man, I think Gavin Williams, this pitcher for the Guardians, is absolutely terrible. I think that he's gotten extremely lucky so far this season. I think that his ERA and everything else should be much worse than it is. Maybe he'll get lucky again. Maybe he just knows how to play the wind and everything else at his home park. But, man, against this Dodgers lineup, I think that he's going to be in trouble. And I think Freddie Freeman is going to take advantage of this guy's horseshoe up as you know what, and make sure that he pulls it out of there and there's no more luck for Gavin Williams. So give me Freddie Freeman higher than 1.5 total bases in this one. And then on the other side of that Ketel Marte game, I'm going to take a Pirate, Bryan Reynolds, higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against Ryan Nelson and the D-backs in Chase Field there in Phoenix. Bryan Reynolds is another guy that's popping off the page for me numbers-wise, 3.39x multiplier if you get Freddie Freeman higher than 1.5 total bases, Bryan Reynolds higher than 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, let's get to NBA entry number 1. Only one NBA entry today. Keeping it simple. I actually do like the Timberwolves to get another win at home here against the Thunder. I think the Thunder are overrated. They're obviously very good. I'm being a little dramatic with the overrated chant, but I do think the T-Wolves are going to be fine at home. And along those lines, I'm going to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lower than 31.5 points and Anthony Edwards higher than 27.5 points. So a little bit of a slower performance for the OKC star and a little bit of a bigger performance for the star for the home Timberwolves. Give me Anthony Edwards higher than 27.5 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander lower than 31.5 points, 3x multiplier. Let's get to NHL entry number 1. Frederik Andersen higher than 2.5 goals against the goalie for the Hurricanes. We know that the offense has not struggled at all for the for the Hurricanes. Not for the Hurricanes, for the Panthers. Frederik Andersen's been having a really bad time. So we're going to be baiting that one per usual. And then we are going to be, honestly, I think this is going to be like a 3-0, 4-0 type game for the Panthers. So higher than 2.5 goals against for Frederik Andersen. And then we're going to take Sergei Bobrovsky, lower than 0.5 first period goals allowed. So we're going to need a clean first period for Sergei Bobrovsky here. This is a 2.74x multiplier. Then NHL entry number 2, we're going to go with Brad Marchand, higher than 0.5 points. As I said, 3 or 4 goals going to be available for the Panthers here. I think Marchand is going to get a piece of one of those, and I do think Sebastian higher than 2.5 shots on goal is worth a play for Carolina because they're going to be desperate here. The Star is going to have to make sure that he leaves an impact on this game any way he can. I think he needs to get the puck on net just because they are so back against the wall in this situation. That is a 3.62x multiplier. Let's get into some of these Lotto entries. Let's go to Lotto entry number 1. Rudy Gobert, higher than 0.5 doubles. Rudy Gobert is he's not exactly been lighting this particular series on fire. But at the end of the day, we know that Rudy Gobert is capable of 10 and 10, boards and points very, very easily. And he's also, it's one of those things where it's like, I like this play because you're getting a huge multiplier, 3.13x just on Rudy Gobert to get a double-double. And also because he's the king of just like the non-sexy double-double. He hasn't had one he hasn't had one since the first round. His last double-double was that 24 and 27 or 27 and 24 game against the Lakers, closing out that series. But again, he's been right on the precipice a couple times, even in this series. So I'm going to take it because you're just getting an enhanced multiplier. You're getting a multiplier like it's impossible for him to get a double-double. And it's like, again, it's very, very possible. I know that the interior, the guys he has to fight with for boards on OKC make things difficult, but it's just too big of a number. So then I'm going to take Matthew Tkachuck of the Panthers, higher than 0.5 goals in this closeout game for the Panthers against Carolina. Again, I think Tkachuck is just that type of guy who, puts the skate on the throat of an opponent and, no Happy Gilmore intended there. And he, is the type of guy who, is going to be one applying that pressure in this closeout game. Then I'm going to go Gavin Williams, higher than 3.5 earned runs allowed. As I've said all along, I think Gavin Williams' pitcher for the Guardians has been extremely lucky this year. I think that he's going to feel some pressure from the Dodgers. I think they're going to try to let him to work out of some spots, and I think it's going to backfire. I think that the Dodgers just have too much in this lineup for a guy who allows the contact like Gavin Williams. That is a 43.79x multiplier. If it goes, if you play it straight up, if you flex it, which again, I always say recommend flexing these long shots, 21.89x if it goes 3 out of 3, 5.28x if it goes 2 out of 3. Let's continue to the Dong Squad. And guess what? I got 2 Dong Squads today. Celebrate being back on the show after being away for a week. So Dong Squad number 1, O'Neal Cruz, higher than 0.5 home runs. As I said, I don't like Ryan Nelson very much. O'Neal Cruz just sets records for the hardest hit balls ever all the time. I think in the Dome in Phoenix, he's going to be just fine. Although, did I misspeak on that? I don't necessarily think they are. And I think they might actually be in. No, they are in the Dome. Okay. I don't know why. Yeah, I said it earlier too. They are in the Dome in Phoenix. For some reason, I thought they were in Pittsburgh for a split second there, but that was just me being jet lagged, as I said. Then I'm going to take Shohei Ohtani, higher than 0.5 home runs. Obviously, Shohei is the man, and this is another way of attacking Gavin Williams, who I think stinks. And then Brandon Lowe, double dipping with Brandon Lowe, higher than 0.5 home runs. Again, great home run weather down there in Tampa. 51.8x multiplier if you flex it, 25.9x or 5.1x if it goes 2 out of 3. Dong Squad number 2, Ketel Marte. I gave you my love letter on Ketel Marte early on in the show, so just refer to that if you're wondering why I like Ketel Marte here. Ketel Marte higher than 0.5 home runs. Royce Lewis higher than 0.5 home runs. I talked about the weather in Tampa, and I think Littell can give up the long ball, and obviously Royce Lewis is a guy who makes great contact all the time. Then Paul Goldschmidt higher than 0.5 home runs for the Yankees against the LA Angels. Another game that should have some pretty solid hitting weather. 95.22x if it goes 3 out of 3, but if you flex it, 47.61x if it goes 3 out of 3, 8.96x if it goes 2 out of 3. Worth a look on those flexes. Flexing these Dong Squads, it really goes a long way to helping the bankroll out. And one more bonus entry French Open, Alexander Zverev higher than 0.5 sets lost. I think Lerner Tien will win a set here in France against Alexander Zverev, and then Quarantine Moutet lower than 1.5 sets lost. He's facing basically a nobody in front of a French crowd. Come on, give me Moutet lower than 1.5 sets lost. 1.5, not 0.5. Quarantine Moutet lower than 1.5 sets lost. So he needs to win 3-0 or 3-1 here. 3x multiplier. All right, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully I'll be back a little bit with more energy tomorrow. Jet lag should hopefully be gone by then. Thank you for listening, and good luck on your bets and your picks. And let's make some money.